All right. The way this thing goes live, I never know exactly when it's actually live. Rock and roll. I think we're good. It says live 6 seconds. There I appear. All right, rock and roll. Michael Gevin here. Jumpstart sessions. So excited to be on here. I've got some great topics for you today. What it takes to charge higher rates. How many free jobs to get a paid job. Local video gets 100,000 views. How a ninja networking move that you can do without business cards. So, on each one of these Jumpstart sessions, I am trying to share my 13 years of experience in video production. Started in around 2004. Still in video production today, but my main thing is coaching and training and teaching more on the mindset and business side of things. I'm no tech at all. Parker has that in spades. Other people out there have that just dialed in. And what I want to help and what I've found to transform my business and the business of those I've helped is that when you understand and basically like this back here, have greater levels of clarity, confidence, connection, alignment with what's right for you, your personality, understanding business, understanding, how your mind works. These things are so much, I hate to say it, but so much more important to succeeding and growing your business than any amount of shooting or editing ever will. It'll make a huge difference if you're excellent at your craft, but at the same time, the shifts in this area will move mountains for you. Tristan's on early, my man, rock and roll. All right, so what's up? So if you guys have questions or thoughts, leave them in the comments. I always love your feedback and appreciate y'all being here. So let's get right into it. So what it takes to charge higher rates. And you hear me say this a ton, and some of you will probably start putting in the comments, nuance. Nuance. Any of these kind of headlines that I put up here, there's so much little variables in here, and what are we specifically talking about? So what does it take to charge higher rates? One thing that I've found through the years is that, what's up, Michael? Great name, by the way, of course. One thing that I've found is that I've used this example, I didn't grab it today, of a water bottle or an ocean. See, if I put the water bottle under the sink and I pour water into it for 8 to 10 hours, it's still going to hold 12, 16 ounces of water. It can't hold anymore. The capacity is what that water bottle is. And then there's an ocean. You plug a hose up into the ocean, it doesn't really do anything. And right now we're flooding where I live, and so there's water just pouring in. The rivers are overtaking our town, and there's no amount of pumps that can get the water out of things fast enough because there's more water coming. And so I think about that with our clients. You can learn all the sales tactics, negotiation tactics, have the right work, say all the right things, do all the right things. But if you're dealing with somebody whose capacity is just not there, it doesn't matter how great you are. It doesn't matter how your ability to talk to them and communicate is, or the craft an email. If the capacity isn't there, it doesn't mean you'll never get anybody that doesn't have the capacity to spend more than their capacity may be. But it's a lot more difficult, and I use this wedding scenario a lot, it's a lot more difficult to take a bride and groom that's total budget's 10 or 20 grand and get them to spend 8 or 10 grand on you and you alone. I've seen it happen. But if you want to base your whole career off of attempting to sell at a certain rate, now granted, you just recognize where you're at. There's some people that live in towns and live in areas and do things, and their cost of living is lower, so making $60,000 a year is fantastic, and they're killing it. There's a guy named Mr. Money Mustache. I found him through Tim Ferriss, and him and his family basically survived off about $25,000 to $30,000 a year, and they had total freedom, from what I can tell, super happy. And so what's fascinating is that there's a lot of variables here, but understanding the capacity that your client has, like SEO, for example. If you were going to do a promotional video for an SEO company, and I literally had a buddy have this happen. If you do one for a solo SEO guy, think of all of you right now. If somebody came to you and said, I'm going to blow up your business. It's $25,000 a month to run Facebook ads. But we're going to be able, we can do a lot with that. We're going to grow your business. You're thinking, I didn't even make $25,000 last year. How am I going to spend $25,000 a month? Now there's another company that makes $25 million a year, and $25,000 a month is nothing. So, but the difference is an SEO company that's a solo guy, like many of you potentially, who essentially might make $80,000 to $150,000, $250,000 a year, but your capacity is far lower. Even though you may see the value in something, your capacity to spend far more is just less, because maybe, the SEO guy has $500 a month clients, but the SEO company with 50 employees and makes $20 million a year has $5,000 a month clients. So their value that they'll see in what you do, your ability to increase. I mean, even Parker, if you see the things that he talks about, when he first started, he had a much smaller email list. So the same kind of email sequence to a small email list made like $16,000. Then the larger email list of 200,000 got him $250,000, because the capacity, the odds, the leverage there is so much more. Same thing, email sequence, Black Friday, boom. But when he has a small list, and depends on the price, right? I mean, if you're charging $10,000 a person, for your project, then 10 projects make you $100,000, right? Whereas if you were charging $100, I don't know that math, it's like 1,000 projects, I think. It's a big difference. So you got to think of who are you working with and what is their capacity. Self-awareness is the biggest key in the industry. You need to be aware of your skill and understand where you also fall short. And you need to understand where you live in the economy in your area and the type of clients you have. I see a lot of people who aren't self-aware and just cocky and think they're better than they are, and just nobody values them enough. Be humble and aware. I'm always the first to admit, absolutely. And I love that. Michael, I'm super excited to connect with you. But that is what a lot of this is about. It is about self-awareness. But I'm going to bring up cocky versus confident, because that's what I want to tie in here as well. When I started dealing with high-profile, highly influential people, I found that there's this air of confidence that goes around with the people that they work with. So you don't tend to see people who are going to spend a lot of money working with people who aren't confident in what they do. Don't believe they can deliver the results. So now you can have, and I know it's been talked about, fake it till you make it. Yeah, there's these elements there. But sometimes what we say and the actual demeanor and body language and things we give off can be far different. And so I've seen people who don't really want to do wedding videos have a hard time booking wedding videos, even though they're not literally telling a client to not book them. Everything about them says, do not book me because I really don't want this. Versus a person that, really wants it and is super excited about what they do and super confident and believes in their product and their service. There's something about that, because it's always contrast. A lot of you can, here's contrast for y'all right now, right? Take contrast. Boom, I'm dark now. Big contrast between me and the background. Huge contrast. You can see that now. Before, you maybe didn't even notice it or it didn't matter. Now we put the lights back on. Now there's potentially less contrast. But the thing is, if you have no contrast at all, meaning if someone who doesn't really care about booking something, is not really confident, somebody comes along who maybe doesn't even have a high value on video and wants your services, it doesn't mean that you won't ever book anybody. It doesn't mean a person who doesn't really want to do weddings won't ever book a wedding video. But if prices were equal and you talk to two different people, and one's super confident, loves what they do, they're enthusiastic, they've been doing it for a number of years, they've got a lot of experience, and they're really excited about it, and the people can feel that. And then you talk to the other person who at the end of the day, and I've seen this. I had a guy the other day, he said, if my conversation with somebody goes for 5 or 10 minutes, that's not good. If it goes for 15 to 30 minutes, that's pretty good. If it goes for 30 minutes to an hour plus, that's a really good conversation, and my likelihood of getting that job really increases. And so, and I've seen that to be true. If something's really fast and you get a call or you talk to somebody and it's like, are you available? How much are you? Yeah. What's your date? Well, how many cameras do you want? How many hours? Here's my package. And that's the conversation. You are a commodity and you will get the least amount of money out of anybody. Regardless of one's capacity, that kind of way of dealing with somebody will get you the least amount of money. If you're enjoying this, give some likes and love. Always appreciate the comments and the feedback. If there's any buts or anything in there, definitely hold on a second. Where'd my mouse go? There we go. Definitely let me know. So hopefully that's making sense. So confidence can go a long way. And as Michael's saying here, there's a big difference between confidence and cockiness. You know, what I found is if you're super arrogant and cocky and difficult to work with, you're going to have a hard time getting business. Not that you won't get any business, you definitely will. But I think in this day and age, when people have been able to experience different things, I've seen so many stories that there's so many options now, so people don't have to put up with a bunch of BS. That there's somebody else out there. I've gotten a lot of work from people who the videographers were not easy to deal with, and they created excellent work. If I was, I am pretty humble to the fact that their work was much better than my work. Incredible work. But I had in spades the other elements that made the pros of, the cons of my work not being as good, the other pros way outweighed that. Because a lot of times our clients don't even, they don't really understand the things we understand because you're all in these groups and different things and you're all peer-to-peer studying things and, seeing what other people do and what's out there, what things look better or don't look better. And a lot of our clients, they don't. They really do not know and they really do not care. Not all, but I would say those are the exception to the rule. And it depends on who you work with. So hopefully that's making sense. If you want extra feedback on that one, let me know. So how many free jobs it takes to get paid jobs? Well, I just saw a guy post this, and I completely agree. He says, I did one, and it turned into paid work, basically, and I did another one, and it didn't. And he just gave 2 examples, but he says, it works, stick with it. That's on the most basic level. So the question is, how many free jobs does it take? Could take one. Literally one job could turn into tons of opportunities. You could do 5 or 6 or 8 or 10 free jobs and not have them turn into anything. Now, I've talked about before the good and bad free work. What I tend to find is that bad free work is when the people come to you and go, hey, I'm going to hook you up. I got this great event. I got this great thing going on. I know all these people. I got all these connections. I'm going to hook you up. And the hook you up one, again, exception to the rule. There are most definitely people who will hook you up. And they're sincere, and they're going to take care of you because in their heart, they can't take from you without giving back to you. Whereas other people, when they typically come from that place, what I find is that they're typically takers, and takers don't give. They take. Givers give, takers take. Some takers give, but not all. And so what I found through the years is that you'll get so much exposure. That's a good one. Now, that being said, that doesn't mean to never do a project for somebody who says that. It's calibrating in your mind expectations. Expectations are everything. So now what I found is expectations are everything all the time. Expectations with your client, expectations whether you do the opposite, which to me, good free work is you reaching out to people and you essentially offering up the free work. Now, in the ones where they're going to give you exposure, I would still in every scenario make sure you take it upon yourself to make things happen. Don't rely on the individual. Don't rely on the company. Don't rely on someone else to make the things happen for you. So when you're there, and I always say beggars can't be choosers. So the reality of free work too is to keep things really simple and not make it complicated. Some people shy away from free work when they think it's going to take them 3.5 weeks and cost them thousands of dollars. I mean, for me, the next one I'm going to talk about, local video gets 100,000 views. How? I mean, this was a free job. And so I'll get to that in a second, but there's lots of ways. I mean, I've leveraged the crap out of free work, but using weddings as an example again, the amount of same-day edits I've done where I had some of my most excellent, best work that I felt that I had ever done, and it felt like, as a collective whole, nothing happened. Like, I didn't even need to show it that night. Like, people didn't seem to care. Nobody really came up to me. Maybe the couple said thanks. But it was just like, it kind of just, did that just happen? I guess it didn't happen. Maybe I was living in a fantasy land. And I didn't get any calls, I didn't get any emails, just nothing seemed to happen. Now, I can't fully connect the dots of a wedding like that and saying 2 years later, somebody did book me. I know things like that definitely happened. But then I've had other ones where I'm like, oh God, I don't know, this video wasn't as good. And then all of a sudden, I got everybody and their brother running up to me. I'm booking weddings literally for the next weekend. I'm getting emails the next day. I'm getting messages and things are coming in. And you're like, okay, well, I didn't think that one was as good. But people loved it. And it was just a different crowd. And so, I have one buddy. I'm gonna tie this in here too. If you're enjoying it, give some likes and love. If you have some questions or thoughts, be sure to leave them there in the comments. But I had a guy. This is a tip for any of you. I think he uses Blackbox, and he decided to load up some of his stock footage clips or some clips to this stock footage site, Blackbox, and it loads it to like 4 different sites or whatnot. And he loaded clips up for like 6 months. I don't know how many at the time he had loaded up, but he loaded up like 6 months of clips. And during that 6 months, he didn't make any money at all. Nothing. And finally, he made his first sale. And I think he had only made like 25 or 50 bucks. Not bad, but he made something. And he kept loading and loading and loading. Now I think he's maybe a couple years in, and he has like 4,000 clips loaded up. And he said he'll average somewhere between $1,000 to $4,000 a month. And typically on the average, it's around $1,000 to $1,200. And it has the spike here and there. But out of 4,000 clips, there's only 300 that ever sell. The other, 3,700 never sell anything. Now, does he have a science to what kind of clips sell, what kind of ones work and don't work? Not necessarily. And that's the problem here. There's not necessarily an exact science to the jobs and opportunities that you're going to do in the free projects or paid projects you're going to do that are going to lead to more free or paid work. I'd love to act like, and I know that's great for marketing. I mean, it'd be great for marketing and for me to sell you something right now that I can tell you, I got the exact dialed in to the T system that if you follow, you too will succeed and you too will make tons of money and be a millionaire. It's like, the reality is there is steps you can follow. There is things you can do. But I think where people get let down is because sometimes we set expectations wrong in our mind and we think, well, such and such said this or such and such did this and such had this happen, but it didn't happen for me. And so now all these variables get, misconstrued and we don't know why it's not working for us. We did what they said to do. We sent the emails, we made the phone calls, we read the script, we did these things, but there's nuance here. Who you're talking to, who you're doing it for, when you're doing it, the timing matters. Your personality matters, your work matters. There's a lot of details that the combination of these things together, which sometimes there's no perfect combination. We've all seen people who we think have probably awful work and we're wondering how they got a certain job. I mean, if that's you, give me a hell yes in the comments. And then you've also seen people or yourself with incredible work and you can't get any jobs. I was just talking to a guy who has a pretty big company, and I've seen this happen as well, is sometimes in our head we're thinking we're doing everything. Or I've tried and I've done all these free projects. But if you really stop, the reality is maybe you've only done a few free projects, right? So what happens with those clips? What happens if the first 3,700 clips were the ones he loaded that didn't sell? And that took him a year and a half before he made a sale. And then he stopped because, 3,700 clips to load without a dang sale is a lot, right? You going out there and doing a bunch of free projects and nothing happening, it's frustrating. I get it. Doing things and seemingly not having anything happen. I talked about this on prior ones. And again, right now, before we get this in podcast form and everything else, if you go inside the Full-Time Filmmaker group and you essentially type in the search, you type in my name, you can see all the ones I've done. I think this will be number 20 in the group so far. I typically try to cover 4 topics. They're typically interwoven together. But I always appreciate the feedback. We got some cool things going on. So I feel like people just starting out should try to just work with as many people as you can, whether it's paid, below budget, or free, to just get out there and build connections and get word of mouth running, and you'll sort of develop a radar of whether or not free projects and things will be worth it once you've done a good amount of good ones and bad ones. First of all, how old are you, Michael, by the way? I feel like you're a clone. Absolutely. I think that there's a level to quality and quantity that people can talk about. The problem is when you're starting out, it's difficult to get the quality from zero quantity, right? Nobody becomes an expert guitar player by, taking one class and picking up the guitar one time. That person who can do something like that is literally an anomaly and a prodigy and not normal. But that is very rare, like winning the lottery and things like that. So the average normal human being on earth can't get to quality without quantity to begin with. And some people pick up things faster than others, but Jesus Christ. Yeah, man, that's incredible. I love it. I love it. I'll be 33. So anyways, it's incredible, man. Doing incredible work. I mean, that's the thing. I mean, what people in their 20s are picking up now, and that's the thing too. Yeah, when you're 21, you've probably heard from people, but if you're not married with kids and all these responsibilities, balls to the walls. I mean, some of my most fun times were when me and a couple buddies went out for $250 and shot all day. And honestly, when you got a lot of bills and you're a lot older and you got a lot more responsibility, yeah, it's damn hard. Bottom line. I mean, I know people with wives and 5 kids, and it's difficult as hell for them to make things happen. It doesn't mean it's impossible, and people do it all the time, and it's not improbable either. It's just that a person who, I started and lived in my parents' basement. I just was thinking about it. I was 2 years more or less in my parents' basement for the first 2 years in high school, which I still lived at home, and 2 years out of high school, I still lived at home. Now, I have a lot of experience. I feel like I'm a human guinea pig. So, you can bet your bottom dollar that if you're looking for any advice, in the video production, there is a lot that I've tried. Failed, won, succeeded, made little money, no money, got screwed over, lost money, had to refund people. I mean, I've been through the ropes a time or two, but that's come from my Vimeo account. I started doing videos 2004, 2008 is when I started putting videos on Vimeo. It has like 2,000, not all are public, but it has like 2,000 videos in it. It's just, yes, 100%. You need to go out there and you need to do more. That's how you're going to get better. And I think the faster you can increase the frequency of jobs, work, editing, shooting, cameras, understanding your cameras, talking to people, whatever it is that you really want to become excellent at, the more you increase frequency of doing that activity, the faster you'll get better at it. Now, I talk about massive imperfect action a lot. The more random and sporadic you are all over the place, well, that's a different story. But, if you pick up your gimbal every day, 5 days a week, and play with it for an hour, you're probably going to be better than the person who picks it up once a month for 20 minutes. Same gimbal, right? Let's say same camera setup, same gimbal, same axis, same software. All these things are the same, yet one does it more. Now, there's a point in time that I believe that you can actually there's a point in time where you can decrease, right? Like I can make more money now with less energy, less effort. I don't have to relearn everything. And, I worked probably 365, literally 365. How much time each day? But I really worked on some capacity 365 when I started. I was always out there doing something in some capacity. And, when I was 19, 20 years old. And, in those first few years, I did 4,000 my junior, 8,000 my senior year, 60,000 my first year out, 40,000 the next year. Then I broke 100,000. I've generated over 100,000 every year since like 2008. But, in some of my biggest years, if you look at the amount of, transactions and you look at the amount of time I had to put into that, it was 10% of what it took me in the past. That $60,000 had like 300 to 500 transactions in QuickBooks. And, there's $50, $25, $100, $500, $250, $1,000. And it took a lot to add up. $25 will take a lot to get to 100 grand. But 15,000 and 8,000 and 5,000 and 10,000 and 30,000, it doesn't take as much to add up. And it doesn't look a lot different. Like potentially the effort to make 30 grand, when you become excellent, well-connected, you're in the capacity of the right people, the things we're talking about here, then that 30,000 could be made in 2 months versus 30,000 in 12 months. So hopefully that makes sense. So let me, if you're enjoying this, give me some likes and love. If you'd like to see a video, I mean, some of you, I'm on here. If you're new, let me know. If you'd like me to say a little bit about, because I come on here and I've been doing these regularly now, but I don't mention my past. So some people are popping on, they're like, who the hell is this guy? He's on here, kind of like what he's saying, but I don't really know who he is. I don't know what he does. It's my first time here. So if it's your first time here, or you've been here before, let me know in the comments. If you'd like to see a few videos, I have some things queued up I could play. I can tell you a little bit about myself, but I try to just get to the meat and potatoes of helping you, because it's about me, but it's not. Like, it's about you. I want to help you. So let me also pull up the Facebook group real quick, or the Facebook page that has the video that I want to share and tell you the story about this particular video, and how, I did things similar and it didn't necessarily get the exact same results. So let me pull this up. Over here, and number 2. Okay, so you should be able to see my screen there. All right, fantastic. So yeah, again, if you're liking it, give some likes and love. Always appreciate the feedback, appreciate the comments, appreciate the support. Here to help. So 1904 General Store. You guys can type this in if you want to. I'll try to put a link. I'll put a link here in the comments. We go over here. Put a link over here. Okay. Perfect. I think it runs a little slower when I start pulling everything else up, but all right. So hopefully this will work here. So 1904 General Store. If we go over to videos, they've got about 3,000 likes on their page now. So this lady bought the building next to this thing, but when she opened, I still owned this property, and basically this is the video. So let me mute this. I'll let this play. So there you go. So there's that. It's funny. I almost cringe watching it, actually. It's fine and dandy video, but here's the thing about that video. Let me pull back up the chat here. So here's the thing about that video. Let me go back here. So the thing about that video, here we go. Let me put that in the chat. All right, so the thing about that video is that, the lady next door to me, I had caught wind that she was opening this new place, and she said, if the business goes well, then I will be interested in potentially buying your property, because I want to put another establishment in there. And so I thought, well, if I can help expedite that process, I will, so I have my video skill set and know a thing or two. So I went over there the day they opened. She had no Facebook page, no website, no marketing, no nothing. It was a soft open. And, basically her daughter made the Facebook page, made me an admin on the Facebook page. I had a Glide Cam 2000 HD with 5D Mark II and a 16 to 35 lens. I ran around for maybe 30 or 45 minutes. I went home, edited the video in another 30, 45 minutes. Super basic video. And then I ran ads out of my own pocket. In the first, put it up, I think, on a Thursday. And I said, keep track of it. Keep track of how many people come in and say they want a free sample of fudge. So I think I went on Friday evening, and she's like, oh, well, about 20, 30 people came in. I'm like, okay, good deal. I said, keep track of it over the weekend. So over the weekend, she kept track of it. Come in on Monday, she goes, oh, my God. You know, we had to stop asking everybody because, whoop, looks like I lost it. Crap. Hope the live is still working. Hold on a sec. I think I lost the comments here. Here we go. Hopefully that works out. 1 second. Page is lost. Okay. And so basically, she's like, we had to stop asking everybody. Everybody was freaking telling us that they saw the video. And so, I spent, I don't know, like maybe $100, $150 in that first like weekend or first week. And then from there, I actually ran it for almost a year just for the hell of it at $1 a day. And I really want to sit down and watch them on my free time. Are you talking, Travell, are you talking about these videos? I mean, right now, we're going to be turning them into a podcast or turning future ones into podcasts. Inside the group, if you type my name, you can see all these different Jumpstart sessions. There's almost 20 of them. If you're enjoying it, give some likes and love. All right. And so I ran it for almost a year at $1 a day. I ended up spending about $290. And as you can see, the video has 1,600 shares, 251 comments, 1.8 thousand likes, and 107,000 views. I think about 6 months later, she actually bought my property, and it worked out great. So basically about 2 or 3 hours between shooting and editing and then just putting the ad up and letting it run and spending a couple $100, on the ad, I sold my property for $130,000. So that was pretty great return on my time and return on investment. And now I could have taken that. This is to tie this in too. I could have taken that. Now I didn't personally want to go around and do that kind of work or do those types of videos. But the reality is I'm giving this as you as a tip if you want to go and run with it, because I could have taken the one time I did that. And I actually had, I did do it. I did it once, and I had about two or three other people locally that some were interested in paying, not a ton, but some were interested in just trading out food. And quite frankly, I just didn't take the time to go do it, which is part of our biggest problem in life and business. Isn't that there aren't opportunities staring us in the face, it's that we don't take them. And so, but I did another one that was like Lulu's Lemon Ice or something that I did. And that one, it worked, but it didn't work as well. There was variables to this. Like I say, with everything, this was an old historic building. Nobody had been able to get inside of it for years. And basically the ad I ran was, I think, 25 to 39, male, female, and a 10-mile radius of that building. And so I've got similar results with that, and I've seen others do this. I mean, local targeting can be huge. I mean, there's businesses all over the place wasting money on billboards and newspaper and radio. Horrible way to spend money when you have limited funds as a small business to grow your business. And being able to say that in the kindest, loving, caring way on planet Earth to a potential local business that you might do a video for. But there's the thing, like that video, if I had even been paid $1,000 for that video, in the big picture, I mean, it was right next door. That helped, but that's still great money. Everybody's so caught up. We talked about higher rates here, but higher rates aren't get $100,000 and make $4,000 off of it and spend 6.5 months. That's not, I mean, I know people who have things like that. They get huge budgets, but there's no profit margins in it. Or they get 10 grand and by the time they're done, they make $2,000 and they spent 3 months. Like, that's not good. You're better off being a freelance camera operator, going out for $600 a day and working 3 or 4 days a week, every week of the month, and only showing up to shoot. Or getting $1,000 or something like that. I remember somebody told me, it's like, it's better to get $3,500 for a wedding and do the same day edit and take 15 hours to do everything than it is to get $8,000 and take 100 hours to do it. Yeah, I'm getting more money, but it's taking me tons more time. So money isn't just a correlation to money. It's a correlation to the time, energy, effort, and everything else that goes into it. Same thing with free projects. So a couple things are on here. Sometimes I feel like I'm not capable of certain jobs if I've never done the video they are looking for, especially if they want to pay me. I always think if I haven't done a specific type of video before, then I shouldn't get paid for it. What is your perspective on this? I appreciate that. So here's the thing. That is really why it really depends. I don't think that just because you haven't done, a couple ways I want to say this. So if every single project and everything you do feels like it's completely and utterly from scratch and different and unique and there's no consistency to it, and one project you're trying to do all these motion graphics and different things like that, and then other ones you're doing like a bunch of scripting and storyboarding and staging and hiring actors, and then other ones it's just like live event and you do that. Those are all different types of things. And what I used to find is that people who came up to me go, well, you're creative. Like music video. I loved doing music videos. I didn't love them enough to really seek them out professionally to get paid well for them. But, I made probably $2,000 or $3,000 through my career doing some music videos. I had a blast doing them, but I wanted to enjoy the music and the band. And then simultaneously, it would have been great to get paid well. But what I was getting paid was fine because I just wanted to do it. But the biggest Achilles heel for me was people going, you're really creative. You're really creative. You got this, right? You're going to be able to come up with a whole concept and a whole thing. And I'm thinking, yeah, I'm creative, right? You're right. I am. I own the company. I'm creative. I know how to do that. And the thing is it's not that I didn't have the competence to do something for somebody, but I found that my sweet spot was literally a version of a live event. It didn't matter what it was. Business, brand, or bride, event, mastermind, workshop. It doesn't matter what it is. But if there's something happening that I can't control, nor am I going to, and I show up and I get a bunch of shots, and then effectively, the thing that might be stagey is getting some testimonials or interviews where I have to stop somebody and I talk through things with them and get sound bites. But then from there, I have an editor. I still, if the greatest thing I'm at solo with zero help is getting the B-roll and doing basically a music video style edit. So something's happening in front of me. I get a bunch of B-roll. I come back. I get a cool song. I put the clips together. Boom, done. The fastest one I ever did, the client was blown away, was a wedding that I did in an hour and maybe 40 minutes. I shot all day, but then I had it edited and I spent only about an hour and 40 minutes editing the video. But I was really proud of that video. But so do I think that if you have competence and skills in video and you've proven to make some good videos, but now you're working with maybe a different industry, because see, here's the thing. My style of video can be in all different industries. So it doesn't matter if I haven't done a chess tournament promo video, like live event. There's a chess live event and I'm going to film the chess event and make a video to promote that chess event. I film live events. So that fact that I haven't filmed a chess event or a swimming event doesn't really matter because I'm still going to approach the shoot. Now, it might be if I'm shooting dirt bikes, maybe I'm not great at following the dirt bike, right? But I probably, what I found is I have enough confidence in my ability to shoot, my ability to edit, live things, that I know I'll be able over the course of time to get what I need and make them a cool 2 or 3 minute, promo video. Now, if you're talking about, again, doing something that's the opposite of that, well, that's where I struggle. And I've run into things where that's where I really procrastinated. That's where, I still got paid, but I didn't feel as confident, which ties into my other things here today we're talking about. I didn't feel as confident about charging as much. You'll have more confidence to charge more when you feel confident about your work. If you're not confident in what you do, you're sitting here even saying, I may not even want to get paid for it. So how would you expect to get paid a lot if you don't even feel like you should deserve to get paid because you're not quite sure? And that's where, again, the more increase in doing different types of work, you can find your niche, you can find your sweet spot, and you're not just the person who does everything for everybody with a pulse. You get known for something, you connect with other people. I had a buddy, and you can get cuts, you can get, when I say get cuts, meaning when you refer something, you can either just give it to your friend and they give you stuff back, or you can be like, hey, if you get that job, maybe I could get 5%. If you get $10,000 for that job, maybe I could get $500. And that's completely fair. Now, I could have taken it on and sold it myself and dealt with it, but I tend to rather connect my friends who do something better than I do, because I want people to have an excellent experience. And so just because I have a computer and cameras and editing software and all this stuff to be able to do just about everything, which at one point in time I did, I found where I procrastinated. I found where I wasn't as happy. I found where the client wasn't as happy. And I found my sweet spot. When I found that sweet spot, I knew how to better price that. I knew how long it would take me to get things done. I knew I could do an excellent job. And there's a lot of power around that versus some completely random thing. Now, it doesn't mean, again, you should never do it. I think in the beginning, we need to experiment a good chunk to know what we really like and don't like, what we think we could do more of, not do more of. And that's where, I love doing free work, because free work becomes my portfolio to be the things that I get paid work for. And they allow me to experiment and do things in such a way that might be more difficult with a client. But I also would say, if you're getting paid to do a certain thing a certain way and you can pull it off, but it's not exactly what you'd like to do, try to still do your thing, because you're now having the opportunity to at least be on a project. And, that's huge. So hopefully that's helping Ashley. If it doesn't, leave another comment. More than happy to help. Travell, awesome. If you guys are enjoying this, give some likes and love. I always love to know if this is your first time here, if you've been here before, what your thoughts are. I always love the feedback. If you have questions or thoughts, let me know. As I keep saying, just reminding, because I don't know who's on here, who's new and who's not. We'll be turning this into podcasts so you guys can listen on iTunes and other things. And something else, I'm curious, if you'd please, if you've listened to more than one of these, or you're just listening to today and you've listened to the whole thing, something that I'm rolling around in my head is, do I just record soundbitey type of ones where I would take what it takes to charge higher rates and just record a video and make it a 5 or 8 minute video, and then boom, that's done? Or continue to record these longer ones, and I can take things out of it, I know that. But if this were in podcast form, would you prefer shorter little videos, or does and we could end up getting show notes and things where people could go to a certain section? Just curious about some of your habits and whatnot. What's up, Ross? Awesome, Ashley. I'm glad that helps. If you have anything else, let me know. Because I'm just trying to think some of that through as I go about kind of creating this and making some tweaks to what I'm doing here live in the group as we start to bring it more public. So let's go on to the ninja networking move without business cards. So first and foremost, business cards can be great. But if all you do is hand out the business card and you don't receive anything, first of all, you don't want to go anywhere and do anything and hand out business cards like they're candy and like crack and people need them. Oh my God, I got to have it. Let me hand out cards to everybody. I've had people say that, well, I've gone to all these things and I hand out all my business cards and then I find them all on the ground. It's because you more than likely didn't develop a relationship with anyone. Going around and treating people like they're all a bunch of bodies that, could give you money is not a great way to build relationships, and nobody gives a flying hoot about you when you do that. I'd rather go to something and literally talk to 1 to 3 people for 5, 10, 20 minutes than I would to talk to 30 people for 30 seconds. It doesn't work out very well. And so first and foremost, when you go somewhere and you have business cards, if you're going to hand out business cards, just meet a few people. Or if somebody asks, you give it to them. But don't just go, hey. And people who aren't wanting to do networking things anyways probably won't even do that. But if you're the kind of person who goes to those things and does that kind of, things where it's networking, or you're just on projects and on, different things, if people are asking you, fantastic. If they're not, then, it's great to hand it out, but it's almost a waste, because the reality is if you don't get any of their information, you got to hope they kept your card, they remember, blah, 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 blah. And what I've found is that if you don't have other people's information, it's a waste. I mean, the amount of times I feel like I've been contacted with just giving out my stuff and me never reaching out, I don't know. It's been kind of few and far in between. But my ability to follow up, my ability to reach out makes a huge difference. So one of the things, awesome. Perfect. I'm great for mindless. I'm a mindless person. Just playing. So here's what I do. So a lot of people are on Facebook, and if you're posting your work on your personal page, then it's great, because if you go, hey, are you on Facebook? And you go, yeah. And you type in their name, you add each other as friends, and now when you post things, you're able to stay top of mind. So they continue to see you, and they continue to know more about you and more about what you do. The other thing I'll do sometimes is literally get their cell phone. Hey, well, do you have any cards? I usually say, no, I don't have any cards. And then I'm like, well, maybe get your cell phone and give you a call, or, connect on Facebook. One of the two. You don't just force it down their throat. Now, there's some charisma and personality and tact that goes into this to work it out, but I'll just give you the basic premise of what's happening. So the other one I do with the text is, or with calling them, is I'll immediately call their phone. So what's your number? Call their phone. I stop it immediately, so it just goes through. I open it back up. I click the text message, and essentially I take a little selfie. I take a picture real quick. Pop a photo, and I send them the photo, and now my picture is in the text message. So it's not just, I've gone to so many events in the past where I get people's numbers. I don't get their name. I don't get anything else. I don't know who the hell they are, and all I have is this phone number, and I don't even remember where it's from. And that's not good. And they won't then remember me, and I could send them a selfie of me, but just in that moment when you're having a great and that usually happens too. I don't just go, again, just like the business card, and go up to random people and just, hey, you want to connect friends on Facebook? Or, hey, can I give you your cell phone? It's when you're having a conversation for 5 or 10 minutes, when you have that, the person, if they liked talking to you, then when they go, well, I'd love to keep in touch. Do you have a business card? That's when I do one of these tactics that then allow me to make sure that I can stay. I mean, the Facebook one can be the best, because then you literally are able to potentially stay top of mind when you're doing work. The cell phone's a great thing too, because you can follow up there and then end up putting your email and your website, and they can look more. But now you can follow up. Now the ball's in your court, not just in the court of the other person, to hope and pray that they follow up with you. So that's a little ninja move. I have, met tons and tons and tons of people through the years, and there's been a ton of people I've handed cards out to, and there's been a ton of people that, and I can say one of my biggest losses too was that I didn't even follow up with the people who gave me their information. So, the dollars are in the follow-up. I've said that before, but the dollars are in the follow-up. So many people, and I found this with even like celebrity type people and things, is that, we tend to just give up so quickly, and we go to the negative so quickly, assuming they're not interested, they don't care, they don't want it, they don't whatever. I'd rather have someone say that to me than I would to assume that they're not interested or don't care. And the amount of times that I've actually had somebody say, I'm not interested, I don't care, leave me alone, has been a few times in my entire career. Usually people go, no, I've been really busy, I'm sorry, I'm this, da-da-da-da-da-da. It's fine. Be a person that's easy to deal with. But go out there and develop more deep, meaningful relationships. And for any of you who might be listening who have a job still, be grateful for that, because now you have the ability to do the things in your spare time with video that you don't have to worry about getting paid. Because I think that there's a power in not being needy. There's a power in you being able to focus without having to get work. That's where people end up with a lot of clients and work they're not happy with, because they have to take on money. So they either appear super desperate, which can detract people. They'll do things they don't really want to do because they feel like they have to do it, and somebody's willing to give them a bone. Somebody's willing to give them money. And then that's how somebody sees that work and goes, oh, that's awesome. Can you do that for me? And you're like, oh gosh, here we go again. And you start doing this work for people that you don't like. So anyways, if you have, no, I know what you mean. Yeah. No, I'm just playing with you, buddy. It's all good. So yeah, if you have any other questions, I usually try to stay on here a little longer. If there's any other questions or thoughts, I find I say this and I really try to probe sometimes, because I'm always wondering. I get feedback, I get private messages, but sometimes people are on here and they're listening. I don't know if the same person's listening for 40 minutes or it's just a constant new haul of people every couple minutes. But if you're enjoying it and you have something that you need the clarity on, I say this all the time, but clarity, confidence, connection. If you're unclear, it's like driving down the road with a rear view mirror. It's like driving down the road with a completely foggy front windshield. You're not going to go that fast. And that little bit of clarity for me back in the day is what broke me from, making $40,000, $60,000 to over $100,000. It was those simple shifts for me off the guy that I was learning from that allowed me to accelerate. And so I think it's important. So if you're enjoying it, leave some likes and love. Give me any comments. I typically kind of procrastinate here at the end if there's anything else that pops in, because there's like a 60-second or so delay on these. But this was a good one today. So, for those of you who don't know me, Michael Gebbin, and I have been running a video production company since I was 18, 19 years old. I'm 33 now. I've shot weddings, dance recitals, graduations, church services, done DVD duplication, film transfers, photo montages. That's actually how I got started, was in photo montages. I filmed over 300 weddings. I did same-day edits. That was the first thing or not the first thing I did, but really helped me explode my business. That was in 2006. I did my first same-day edit, and I've worked with people like Tony Robbins, Tim Ferriss, Lewis Howes, Pat Flynn, Social Media Marketing World, all sorts of other companies, cool people. And it's been quite a ride. And my biggest passion is mentoring and coaching, videographers and creatives to help them get to do the kind of work they love, make more money, have more time, work on projects and with clients that they're excited to work with. If you can't tell, if you've been on more than, one of these, or you see today, like, I love doing this. And we're going to start doing one-on-ones here soon with people and doing Jumpstart sessions with you as individuals, because that's where some magic's really going to take place. And so anyways, appreciate you all so much. And it's been a fun one today. So again, hope you enjoy these Jumpstart sessions right now. They're just in the group here on Full-Time Filmmaker. And that's where I've started them. It's kind of gained some traction here. A great captive audience of people that I know I can help, and been providing help here. And so you can search my name and you'll find about 20 of these so far, with typically 4 kind of topics. And here we go. We got one more from Ashley. Fantastic. I guess a follow-up to my last question. I typically do promos and marketing videos, but I've been approached for wedding videos, but I've never done those. And that's why I don't feel comfortable being paid, because I have no experience with wedding videos. Yeah. Then you know what I say? Go do your first one for free. I mean, I did my very first, you can do it for free, but I did my very, 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 very first wedding ever that I ever did. And it was my first thing, I won't say professionally, but I was in high school. I'd done some stuff for the school. I made some movies with my dad and friends, but I'd never done something professionally. They wanted to pay me. They didn't have high value on it. There was other people they could have hired that were more professional, that they would have guaranteed to get a professional good video. I charged $500 to do my very first one. And honestly, my first year, and this is where I think some people go wrong with building their business. They accelerate too quickly with pricing, and their demand and reputation doesn't get built up, so they're not doing that many projects. The money for each project might be okay, but it's hard to keep getting more projects because you didn't plant that many seeds out in the world of people who even know who you are. And that's what, building up more demand than you have supply gives you a lot of leverage with pricing. But, my first year was $500 to $1,000. I did almost 20 weddings, I think. I did first one for $500, and then I went to a bridal show like 6-7 months later, and then I booked a bunch at that and some throughout the year. And then the next year, I only did 7, but I got cocky. People tell me, oh, you got to charge more. And I went to like $1,000, $2,000, $3,000 pricing. And, it was okay. The same day edits really helped. So I had almost 30 weddings in 2 years that I had done. And so there were people who saw the first ones that came around, and then I got momentum and I got more confident, and it kind of spiderwebbed from there. But, maybe you're getting $2,000 or $3,000 or $4,000 or $5,000 for your other videos, but you've never done a wedding video. If people see enough quality in what you've done for the other things, you're going to be able to pull off. There's a training inside, Full-Time Filmmaker with all of the, wedding video stuff. So you're going to be able to pull it off. And if they have low expectations and you set the expectations and you just charge like $500 or something, because your time's still worth something. You're not a completely incompetent human being who has no clue on what you're doing at all. You're like, I can't take any money for this. Now, if you really would feel more comfortable in your gut not taking anything, then don't. And do one. That way you get the full rundown to a degree, and you get to see what's going on. So the next one, maybe you do just go to 500. Maybe you go to 800. You do another one. And then before you know it, you've done 10 or 15, couple years, and now you're up to a couple thousand or more dollars. I think some of this acceleration can happen as fast or as quick as you want, and depending on a number of things. So hopefully that helps. I don't think there's a right or wrong answer here. Go with your gut. But you definitely can charge something because I'm assuming from what you're saying, you don't have zero competence. And so, charge something. I think $500 is a great starter one if somebody's willing to pay you and they see value in doing it. And if not, then at least get out there because you'll have more confidence once you do one. That's going to really help you out. So hopefully that helps, Ashley. And fantastic. Again, some likes and love if you enjoy it. Always love to hear your feedback. Always love to hear what you have to say about these. I love getting the messages. I'm excited to keep tweaking things and ramping this up. I'm talking to Parker about some things, and we'll see what goes on with that. Of doing more of a mindset training, coaching, type of thing, because I just want to help people. I mean, this is what I love, so I want to help people do what they love. And if that is shooting, if that's editing, shooting and editing, if it's running your own thing, if it's being a freelance guy or girl, whatever it is, I become really great at helping people gain that clarity and that focus and that confidence in an area for you to be able to accelerate and have a blast doing it. So it's been great kind of doing these in the group right now, and it's going to be cool to end up seeing what happens here in the coming months. So excited to see you all blossom and grow and do incredible things. So appreciate you all so much. Thank you. And, I've said this, some people have already heard me say this probably 10 times, but I'm going to be doing the one-on-one soon. It's been a little crazy, and I'm waiting to hear back on a few little things before I move forward with it, because I tend to get tunnel vision. So once I get going, I get going. But if you'd be interested in doing that in the future, they're free. The initial ones are free. I'm going to do them because they're going to be more podcast form. It's going to act as marketing, quite frankly. But the first one, you will get 100%. There's no holding back. There's no, BS about it. It's 100% free, deliver massive value to you. Have you taken an assessment that I have beforehand that helps out, a little questionnaire, and then we'll get those scheduled here in the next 2 or 3 weeks. But if you want to be added to that, let me know, and just send me a message, and we'll get you in the queue. And then once we get those going, start rocking and rolling. So appreciate it. All right, I'm going to jet, and have an amazing day. And as my buddy says, it's What If Wednesday. So instead of what if it doesn't work, what if it does? Rock and roll.